Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Trade the Chain. It is July 29th. It is Thursday. It's almost the weekend. We're on the home stretch. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Some good stuff today. One, Bitcoin has to do a few things in order for us to really move ahead. CJ's going to go over that. We're still in this humdrum hitting the resistance levels right now. But then also we got some positive news in crypto, exactly what the clickbaity, non-clickbaity title says. And we're going to get to that and kind of explain it. So really bullish right now, really happy. CJ8, Brian doesn't have a hair out of place.
I didn't, but
I finally found a good barber on the island. Look at that, Alex.
I was just trying to put the fun spirit into everybody. So I lied. CJ didn't eat. He may get hungry or hangry halfway through the episode. If you could take us to the legals, Ryan, let's get the show on the road, buddy.
Thank you, Alex. My pleasure. This is just a reminder that all content provided by Trade the Chain and Market Rebellion is strictly for educational and informational purposes only. Absolutely none of this is investment advice, and it should not be construed as such.
And I
was let out of YouTube jail.
Oh, that was a production mistake. Sorry, guys. Hey, Ryan, glad to see you again, buddy. All right, what do we got, CJ, on the big boards? A lot of people are getting anxious right now, and a lot of people are in good spirits, so rightfully so, they should be anxious.
Yeah, let's take a look at the charts here. And I'll first start by saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are extraordinarily similar, and I see them doing very similar things in the near-term future. So the general analysis on Bitcoin, I think, is going to be equally applicable to Ethereum as well. So first of all, I want to start by kind of highlighting these nines, right, and describing kind of the context and what they mean, because we've just hit a new one. We've hit a TD Cell 9. It's near the top of an uptrend, and typically what we see is reversals shortly after we reach 9 candles. However, there is a little bit of context to them. So for instance, let me find a good example here. There is a little bit of context, and I think it's important to understand when we are at the top of an uptrend and we hit a 9, we'll typically peak, directly after and have some type of regression to the moving average. However, if we experience an instance in which the 6 right here, as you can see, is actually below the 9, or if we were, at the opposite phase of the setup where we're on a green 9, we would want the 6 to be above or below, the 9. And of course, in a red sequence, when the 6 is below the 9, that typically hints that we're going to have one more down day, and then the market is going to reverse, and we're probably going to see some type of regression to that moving average. So, I see something similar happening. I see this 9 maybe continuing with some more bullish momentum throughout the rest of the day, but I do expect to see some profit taking going into the weekend as this moving average turns up. And I'll just say right flat out now, like I've been scaling in. I've bought altcoins this morning. I'm not particularly waiting for this pullback in terms of macro buys, but in the short term, I would definitely consider kind of a pullback like this is likely to come. But being said, that moving average is still moving up. So if we get a correction, the moving average is probably going to be around 36, possibly even 37K at that point. So from a risk reward perspective, we're at 39K right now. And so I don't have a problem scaling in if I see, our throwback target only about $2,000 or $3,000 below current price, if that makes sense. The second aspect of the analysis that I want to get to has to do with something we talked about a few weeks back, which is the Wyckoff accumulation phases. Remember, we did this outlay or this overlay a few weeks back, and it definitely took longer than we thought to hit a bottom. We also never really hit resistance in phase B like the model would suggest. Nevertheless, I think it's very similar. And I think whether or not you agree with this type of methodology, I definitely would recommend understanding it and exploring it, because, if we talk about the sequential 9, right? If we go back to this and this pullback to the moving average, that would be pretty consistent with this second leg and this pullback back to support before another further test, likely into the 40s and maybe even to the 50s in the next few weeks. So I think that's really interesting. And if you'd like to learn more about this, I'm thinking about working on a course, but I would definitely recommend if you just Google Wyckoff accumulation, and the first article here does a really nice job of outlining the background. This is really time-tested stuff back going to the 20s and 30s, and it really will describe the characteristics of how large players can move the market around. And Bitcoin does have large players. I'm not going to lie. I do hate the word manipulation. Think about at a poker table. If you have one player with a large amount of chips, they can sort of bully other players at the table because they have more chips and they have more buying power. And the same thing happens in markets. But is that manipulation? No, not in my mind. But larger players do have to navigate the market a bit differently. They have to scale into positions. They have to test order books when they hit these lower levels here to make sure they have the liquidity to be able to get in without necessarily crashing the market. So I definitely recommend checking out kind of this whole article and this concept, because I do think it's somewhat applicable to Bitcoin at our current points. Next tab has to do with the fear and greed index. It does seem a little concerning that we went from extreme fear to rather, 50 and somewhat not quite in greedy territory, but I just think the increase in such a short amount of time is a little dangerous in the sense that this long trade, this sequential 9 could be getting a little overcrowded. So that would kind of add further fuel to, an interim small pullback to the moving average. But overall, I think we got some interesting stuff and a lot to watch going into this weekend. But I'll leave with that, gentlemen, and back to you guys.
So looking at sentiment, right, that's remained high and it's continued to go up throughout the week as we're heading towards the weekend. And you can see how sentiment beautifully, if you look at I think it's more illustrated on the 7-day chart, just throughout the week, the gradual build, right? Because you have back at about noon on July 27th, sentiment dipped and price followed down shortly thereafter, but sentiment's kind of been on the rise, it's been on the rise since then. And it's brought price up with it. So sure, there might be some moderate profit taking here, but if sentiment is accurate, and it usually is, it stands to reason that we should continue, grinding higher, if not holding steady, at least for the next 24 hours, barring a black swan event. You have announcements today like State Street now doing prime brokerage services for private trusts and other crypto funds. You have Paxos announcing a $300 million raise with participants including, Bank of America, Coinbase Ventures. There's a lot of good feeling in the market right now, and I think that's starting to translate over to price. And I'm not sure I agree with you, CJ, that we're going to have that dip. I think we might hold steady and then move higher. I think that's more likely anyway, just based on what I'm seeing from sentiment data. Trading volume was up almost 13%, and tweet volumes held pretty steady from the euphoria earlier this week.
Yeah, another thing, CJ, do you think, with a comment from Kamikaze here, that BTC could dip into the high 20s before going back up, or are we past that?
I think it would be very, very unlikely to get 20s again. I think the lowest we're going to get in the interim is 36 or maybe slightly below that moving average. I expect the moving average to hold. And to Ryan's points about, disagreeing with an interim pullback, that is what the technicals would suggest. But being said, you're right, sentiment is overpowering and can lead to a further increase above 40K. And, I'm not going to wait for a pullback. Like I said, I still bought and scaled in this morning. That would be the rational thing for the market to do coming off a sequential 9. A short-term pullback before resuming the overall bull market and uptrend.
There's one comment in the chat that you put up there, Alex, before about whale manipulation. Just because it's not necessarily wash trading or spoofing or front running, that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't manipulation. Even if it's legal manipulation, if you can throw around $1 billion worth of a trade here or $1 billion worth of a trade there, when most of the people in the market don't have that much to trade with, yes, you are manipulating the market, but you're doing it in a legal way. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's not manipulation, right? And of course, people, when the last bull run in 2017, 2018, of course, people were calling that manipulation. And after the fact, they were, when they did forensic analysis of all the transactions that helped drive it up. People have generally agreed that that was a result of leverage manipulation. And I don't know. I feel like maybe it isn't talked about enough, perhaps, but of course there's whale manipulation in the market, even whether the price goes up or down.
So let's talk about that concept of illegal versus legal manipulation, because I think when most people, based on that comment, when they cry manipulation, what I hear is that they just are saying the market is unfair, larger players have a greater advantage, and you're not going to get rid of that. That's just basically the game, like what I was discussing earlier with the poker player at the table who has more chips. They're going to have certain strategies and plays that they can do that a smaller retail investor can't do. But at the same time, that smaller retail investor has certain advantages over the large investor, the whale. They can move in and out of positions very quickly without having to worry about affecting the market. And yeah.
I mean, that's like complaining about Messi's sweet left foot, that his foot, he's better than everyone else on the pitch, so it's not fair for Barcelona to have him, right? Or, having Shohei Ohtani, who can pitch 9 innings, strike out 10 guys, and hit 3 home runs in the same game. I mean, there's always going to be someone who has more resources or more ability or more knowledge than you in the markets, and it's just how you're able to move around them, I guess, that can make you a more efficient trader. The best doesn't always win, or the biggest doesn't always win. Just look at the Yankees. But the smartest usually does, right?
I love these CJ Ryan spats. They're so great. I like hearing both sides. Let's do this, guys. Let's go over to Ethereum right now, because we're seeing a bunch of negative sentiment playing to the mix, unlike the positive over on Bitcoin. You can see here for the 1 day, we do have a little price rising as sentiment starts to ease. Negative sentiment starts to ease off a little. But it is different than the Bitcoin chart. As you can see, here's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. So the current phase we're going through right now is different. Is there any explanation you can give for this, CJ?
Well, I think Ryan was talking about it either a couple days ago, but ETH missing their potential deadlines for upcoming forks. I think that definitely has something to do with it. I definitely think ETH is going to continue to trend with Bitcoin. But another interesting metric is that Bitcoin dominance has actually been increasing ever since we've had this run from our recent bottom, which suggests that larger players are going into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is rallying as Bitcoin dominance goes up. And then once price starts kind of trending again, then we see Bitcoin dominance really fall off a cliff as more participants start investing in other things and potentially taking their Bitcoin profits and moving them elsewhere in the market. So back to the initial point about ETH, I think it has a lot to do with those missed deadlines and probably that talk being extrapolated onto Twitter. But I'm interested to hear Ryan's concerns as well.
So there's some interesting language in the infrastructure bill being passed through Congress right now, where the government is expecting miners and DEXs to file tax paperwork and tax people on transactions, which I don't even know how they'd enforce that. But potentially the idea that a DEX wouldn't provide the advantages that it does now, and lots of these DEX projects being on Ethereum, I mean, I could see that potentially having at least a modest impact on ETH.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, listen, if this is true, If it's true that Ethereum is declining in sentiment because of possibilities of missed deadlines, that's phenomenal because we haven't even missed the deadline yet. So if it's being presumptuous, that's.
But sentiment's already starting to recover. I mean, it bottomed out earlier today. If I'm looking at the chart, right, it bottomed out at about 34, and we're already up to 44 almost, right? So there is a bit of a recovery there, and price has responded accordingly.
Agreed. I'm curious to see though what happens when the London fork day comes and goes, and what happens from the London fork.
I'm in fear of it. I don't think it's going to go well.
You're an ETH maxi, my man.
That doesn't mean I can't be a realist, right?
Okay, let's get on to the fun stuff here. Now, Ryan, this is amazing. I love this article headline: crypto user numbers double in 6 months, and I believe it went from 102 million, 103 million to 206 million. But Ryan, break this down for us a little bit.
Sure. As of the end of June, there are now 220 million people using crypto around the world, right? And just from February to May alone, it went from 106 million all the way up to 203 million, like you were saying. And the share of altcoin holders, that was only 20% of all crypto, traders or investors or enthusiasts. That is now all the way up to nearly 40%. So what we're starting to see is that people are looking, not only increasingly adopting crypto and becoming involved into the crypto markets through, I think they talked with 24 of the largest crypto platforms around the world. And this goes back to, as you pointed out earlier, Alex, right before we hopped on, something that Steve over at Voyager was saying, how they're seeing significant growth on their platform as well. So when you have all of this growth, and you not only have this growth, but you have people increasingly willing to go outside of just Bitcoin and start looking at altcoins, I think that shows that, crypto and digital assets are becoming much more mainstream. And this is a theme that we've talked about a lot. Like eToro put out research earlier this year where the number of women on the platform tripled over the course of a 2-month period. So now it's not just bros, like tech bros that are in crypto, it's women as well who are increasingly involved in the markets. So, and OH, to answer your question, they're saying people. So this could be people with multiple accounts. So this is individuals or entities that are in the crypto space. I think this is really bullish. And I think this is really positive because if you think about it, and this is something the article also pointed out, once crypto hit 65 million users, it took 9 months to get to 100 million, right? And in 6 months, we went from 100 million to 220 million. So I think this is it's more on-ramps, more access, more different platforms, and more people coming into the ecosystem. That's why when crypto recedes, it has higher lows, and then we keep hitting higher highs.
Well, it's remarkable. CJ, what do you think the impact, just from a trader's point of view and baking it into technicals, how this is going to prop up the market as we, go through the month of August into what we're all expecting to be the second leg up?
This makes me entirely bullish on altcoins. Retail, anywhere retail money likes to go, whether it's Ethereum Classic, Dogecoin, Sheeb, say what you want about these projects, but those have been what retail likes to buy when they come in at a tail end of a bull market. I just actually got a chart, if you don't mind, if I just show it real quick, because it does kind of have to do with this point. I think it's awesome that obviously the retail traders are coming in, but even more impressive, we just saw this from Santiment, but we can see that addresses holding between 100 and 10,000 Bitcoins continues to increase and accumulate despite this downturn. And the fact that not only we're seeing kind of the whales start the run, I think retail finishes the run. And they are the ones ultimately responsible for that tail. And unfortunately, the newcomers get burned. I was one back in the day, but it's a good lesson we all have to learn as market participants. But I think it's really, really bullish, to Ryan's point.
It is, but I'm wondering when the number of active addresses is going to start rebounding, because that's when we know we're back into a bull cycle, right? Because that's still significantly down from its high earlier this year. If you look at if Glassnode data is accurate, which it generally is, I think that's usually a lagging indicator, but it's a pretty good one and a pretty accurate one if you look at the history of bull runs in crypto, between these various metrics that we look at. I have the chart on my screen. I try to share it, but my computer is just not cooperating with me right now.
Sorry, I can't help you, Ryan. I normally back you up on that one, buddy. What about participants in DeFi, right? So there's a lot of DeFi projects going on, and quite honestly, a bunch that I'm skeptical of. I mean, they all have weird names like Spooky Swap and like various different things, and I don't believe that all of them are for the good of mankind here. And Ryan, I see your chart. I'm going to pull that up in one sec.
Yeah, sure.
Now with all these participants in DeFi, are they getting lost in the metrics as well? Are they almost discounted from any metrics regarding new users or active wallets or anything like that, or is that all included as well?
So this chart is just Bitcoin active addresses, right? So when you're looking at this and you see where the highs were earlier this year, which was an all-time record, what was that? It was almost 1 million, right? Or it was over 1 million. So it was like 1.3 million. And right now we're all the way down to, I don't know, about 800,000 some. So 823,000. So we've dropped significantly from that high. And I mean, that's something that I often keep an eye on when trying to gauge where we're at in terms of adoption.
Go back to match up the bottom that we're at now across to the left. When was the last time we were here?
Well, that's a good question. That would be in early 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So in the middle of the crypto winter, such as it were. February 17th, 2019.
Okay. So we backtracked a little.
A little bit, yeah. But if accumulation theory is to be believed, you kind of have to have more active addresses in order for it to have an impact on price.
Yeah.
Or network effect, rather. I'm sorry.
The Ackerman effect. Guys, let's go to the fun news. And this is how to earn free crypto. And a lot of people know this, but still, even going through our community, I'm always amazed by how people don't quite get it, even though they say they do, because there's a few different things here. There's, basic shopping. Now, we all know our friend Simon over at StormX. They have this great program where you get crypto cash back. And so that's essentially free crypto. Now, here, there's an example of there's Lolly, which gives back Bitcoin from its retail partners, just everyday shopping. You know what I mean? And Ryan, I mean, listen, before we went on today, you do a lot of online shopping. I mean, every day I think your foyer is Christmas with the amount of boxes that are in. Now, how much? Now, I know you're kicking yourself because you're like, I keep forgetting to shop where there's crypto cash or where there's crypto cash back rewards. Yeah,
I should sign my wife up for Lolly as well. She's not shy with the Amazon Prime. But I didn't really know how Lolly worked. I never looked into it, and it's so simple. You get 1 to 30% Bitcoin back. I mean, depending on where you shop, that's staggering, right? I mean, StormX is a great product, and they have a similar concept. But I think I definitely I know I've used StormX. I like StormX, but I'm definitely going to check out Lolly as well. This is really cool, and it's so easy to use as well. It's just a browser plugin.
And folks, the reason I'm not including CJ in this conversation is he doesn't buy anything anymore. All his capital is locked up in VGX.
Well, I have something to say about that. Just that I have I have like no fiat, so not really buying anything. Rolexes, champagne, limousines. I'll wait for after the bull market.
All right, good. Going into credit cards, BlockFi credit card is an example used here, earns a flat 1.5% back in Bitcoin on every purchase made. After you earn 3.5% back for the first 90 days after opening an account. I mean, that's incredible. Gemini has a rewards card as well, and I believe Voyager's coming out with a card, and I also believe StormX is coming out with a card, if I'm not mistaken, too. So this is amazing. Ryan, CJ, do any of you have crypto cards yet? And if not, you plan on getting them and just using them instead of your bank card?
Yes. I don't have one, but I want one. And I think that the important distinction to make with the Gemini card is you can choose from a basket of cryptos that they have which one you want to be your crypto cash back, so to speak. So I think that's you're not just tied to Bitcoin.
CJ, what about you? I know you load up that Starbucks app and stuff like that, but would you do it with using a crypto card?
Yes. The only one I have a desire to use actively is probably a future Voyager card, just because that's where the majority of my USDC is, and it's got, really high interest. So that's pretty much the only one I would be interested in. I don't really have any desire to spend crypto right now. I don't want to deal with the tax man coming after me in like 2 years after some obscure crypto I owned somehow goes like through the moon and I don't know about it. So we'll see. Really, the only thing I have interest in is the Voyager card. So
I'm with you on that. I think the Voyager card would be great. I love my airline miles, like travel rewards cards that I have, and being able to get a crypto cash back and use a Voyager card where I have the bulk of my USDC parked as well, I think would be great.
Now, Ryan's own words are that the airport is your happy place. I think
my airports are my safe space. Yes,
safe space.
I fly way too much. Way too much.
All righty. Moving on to the next one. This one everybody knows. I know in our community, people want to go sign up for something. They'll ask other members, hey, who has an affiliate link for me? Because people looking out for each other. And this is especially good when it's a two-way thing, right? So like I know with Voyager, I think it's if you deposit $100 and trade it, each person gets $25. The person whose link it is, as well as the person who used the link. And I know that a number of other exchanges do as well. Coinbase here has a sign up offered for $5 to new users. And I know that there's Kraken, Crypto.com, a couple others. So, if you have friends, definitely share that referral bonus link. It does earn money. I know that Landon was saying, remember when he was, he got his referral code for Voyager, and he was like, hey, the first 100,000, if I get 100,000 signups, somebody's driving the car. Well, at $25 a sign up, that's $2.5 million. All right. So not so bad for just referral cash. Don't know if he made it. Don't know what's happening, but if it would be a good dream. All right.
We'll find out soon if someone else is ripping his car around a race course. I mean,
maybe DJ Crypto. I don't know. Moving on to the next one, we got earn interest on your Bitcoin. Now, this is a common one. I mean, we got a lot of Voyager people and Celsius customers in our communities, both at Market Rebellion and Trade the Chain. And the one thing they love is they love the interest, right? There's some ridiculous interest being offered right now. A lot of people actually love it because when they're moving out of their positions during the market bottoms, they're going into USDC and earning ridiculous interest rates on it to keep the money flowing. So look for these. If you have crypto that you're long-term hodling in, look to park it and earn money on it. Why not? Now, here's another interesting one. You got airdrops. Airdrops are they're common practice. They're used by people to promote their coins and stuff like that. But the one thing about airdrops that always makes me skeptical, and this article delves into it a little bit, is the fact that scammers are really good at infiltrating using airdrops. That and half the coins that get airdropped are crap. Guys, how many of you have received airdrops? I have some coins I never heard of that somebody threw a couple thousand in, and they're valued at zero. It's ridiculous. It takes up space.
Yeah, it's just a line item in my MetaMask wallet. I don't know how I got half the airdrops I did get. Weird tokens.
Now, one of the good things that I want to tell everybody, and I know it's widely known, but it's little used, is you can pick up free crypto over on Coinbase by going through their learning. They have like a learning academy. So if they do a coin, I'm just going to throw it out there, but let's say it's Litecoin. They don't have a Litecoin thing, so it's safe to use that as an example. But if they have a Litecoin education thing, you watch videos literally at Coinbase. When you're done, into your Coinbase account goes free crypto. That's pretty cool. Get it while you can. Take their money, guys. I don't see why not. Now, the one thing I want to point out with all this free crypto is what Ryan alluded to before, and that is the tax man always cometh, okay? And if you don't live in certain jurisdictions, you will get taxed, and those laws are still gray. I know we have a lot of people in the community who've done their taxes for 2020 or going through them. They have a lot of questions for their tax preparer, and not everybody knows. But the thing is, to what Ryan said, there could be a taxable event every time you use that card. It may not be now. It may be something changed later. It may be something that gets reverted and retroactive. You don't know. So be careful on these different events, or they may be more costly to you than the free crypto that you're receiving. But very interested to learn more places to get free crypto. So if anybody has any experience on this, or we didn't mention it just now, drop it in the comments or the chat, because I definitely want to know more places to scavenger up easy coin.
One place to scavenger up easy coin is for Trade the Chain members, where there's going to be a cent airdrop. And that's happening very soon, if I'm not mistaken, right, Alex? Saturday's
the first wave of eligible members getting their cent token. As the Cent team is going to be reviewing all the KYC stuff that everybody's been submitting over the last couple of weeks. So very excited about that.
That doesn't mean that people are out of time to sign up, right? The KYC process will be ongoing, I think, until September.
Yeah, September 15th.
Yep.
September 15th for that.
Okay.
So now let's see. There was something I wanted to hit up CJ with, and it was important. It was somewhat important. Oh, CJ, what about you guys pump out a lot of educational stuff over at Market Rebellion? Any chance talking to the higher ups over there, maybe about earning, a little something when we become members and go through the educational courses?
That's an interesting speculation, Alex. I have not had that conversation with the higher ups at Market Rebellion, but we do have a lot of interesting stuff in the works, and hopefully a new version of the platform. We're shooting for September 15th. We're launching our crypto platform 2.0 with a lot of new features. And, if you're an existing member, you can get grandfathered in, or you're going to get locked in at the current rates. So, you still have a couple months to be able to do that. But that's something we worked very hard on, and I'm excited to use it in my own trading. So I'm looking forward to it. And I appreciate the resources that Market Rebellion has donated to this, because I think you guys are going to really like it. Another point I just wanted to make kind of randomly in reflection is that, remember when we were talking about the Grayscale lockup being released and flooding the market? Isn't it interesting that, that didn't really happen? It might have even been bullish. So kudos to you guys for making that point a week or two ago.
That was a research post I saw by Jeff Dorman over at Arca. He was the one that really first started to kneecap that narrative. And just wanting to share that with our audience felt important to Alex and I. So thanks, Jeff, for writing that and being right. Yes, for being right.
Here, I'll let you answer this real quickly, Ryan, since I'm always doing all the talking.
Fair. You have a much nicer baritone voice than I do, so people like hearing your voice more than mine. But Cent is a governance token for the Trade the Chain community that enables members to have voting rights on certain initiatives that Trade the Chain does, and also take advantage of rewards and discounts and preferential treatment across an ecosystem of partners that's being put together by the Cent team. As far as being listed on Voyager, I don't have any knowledge that that's happening in the immediate future, but once anything like that perhaps comes to pass, I'm sure the Cent team will be more than forthcoming with that information. But right now, it's we have nothing to say on that.
Guys, thank you for joining us. Please don't forget to visit marketrebellion.com/crypto. Start for just $1 over there with CJ and Monty. Monty, who is actually away at I think he's either getting new sneaker garages or new trading cards. But either way, I'm jealous.
He is selling some of his lower end cards at a conference, one of the most premier conferences for trading cards, because he needs more liquidity for crypto. That's what he told me.
He needs money for crypto.
So he's doing that today. So I wish him the best.
100%. I hope he gets top dollar to buy more crypto. Definitely. Don't forget to visit tradethechain.com. Risk-free for 14 days. Try it out. Check it out. You may even be able to rub Brian's hair a little bit. That's one of the perks for being a member. Guys, hang on to your handlebars. Tomorrow is Friday. We'll wrap it up with something good and upbeat for you guys, and we will see you there. Hang on to your handlebars, folks.
Thanks, everyone.